Hello, I'm Vincent,
And I'm Andrew.
and here at Sander Fair and Cheshire Stamp Auctions, we're always handling lots of interesting stamps, and Andy and I are always bickering about who's got the best stamps.
No, we don't.
Yes, we are. Honestly, sure, I'll have to put up with. And we found that we had related collections on our respective desks today. I had stamps of early Israel. And what did you have? Yeah,
I've got a very nice collection of the British Mandate issues of Palestine.
very relatable. But as I'm nearest the camera, I've gone and put what can, I think, be fairly described as one of the few issues of the 20th century, stamp issues, which can be described as a classic issue, really because of its historical importance and the history behind how it was issued. And it's the first stamp issue of the State of Israel, the 1948 Doar Ivri issue. I'll put those under the camera. There we go. You can see it's a pretty colourful set, but that's not really what makes it special. Obviously, everybody knows a little bit about the history of the beginning of Israel. Very few people can agree on its significance or how it should be treated, but it was incredibly significant after World War II that the end of the British Mandate was running down. The Jewish lobby was working very hard with the UN to try and set up institutions. The Jewish lobby were not allowed to print their own stamps, and these stamps were the end of a rather secretive process, where the manager of a newspaper based in Tel Aviv was invited to help surreptitiously produce Israel's first stamps. And so one night, a small letterpress was secretly installed near Tel Aviv, and the same building was later used to house the official headquarters of the government printing office. So that's how these things happen, I suppose. And as quietly as they could, in sweltering heat, the Israelis printed the first stamps of Israel, which showed Roman period coins. And they also, almost uniquely, added a tab with quotes from the Torah below the stamps, something which continues to this day. Now I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see the large and the small designs. This is the top value. I'll just let the camera focus. There are a lot of forgeries of this stamp. You have to be careful who you buy them from. It's 1,000 mils, which equaled 1 Israeli pound. So it's a high value. Remember, this is a pound stamp in the Middle East in 1948. Consequently, they are really quite scarce and sought after. You need to get them with full tabs if you can. If they're perforated on the base, you need a little bit more selvage to the straight edge of the sheet, or they just run to the straight edge of the sheet. On the lower values, and I shall move the stamps now rather than the camera, you can see these various quotes, and it's a subject of all sorts of settings and errors, which adds to the interest, as does control blocks, misperforations, and all sorts of other stuff, which makes the issue extra cool. One of the coolest things I think about this set, though, is that because it was produced in less than ideal circumstances under the nose of the British, that a lot of the stamps bear very light fingerprints, and that's known with this issue. And it's the fingerprints of the printers who had to handle them because they didn't have all the right machinery and they were sweating away. I think they were, I'm not sure they're in a cellar. I heard it was a cellar, but in the building. But wherever it was, these guys were very sweaty, and they handled them very, very carefully, but did leave. So it has been suggested that if an analysis was done, you could figure out how many different people handled them by looking at the fingerprints. But I think that takes philately a little too far, in my opinion. But this was a signal to the world that there was a new kid on the block. It was setting up institutions as quickly as it could, and it was supported all over the world, not everywhere, of course, and a lot of people, stamp collectors, wanted the first stamps of Israel, but most collectors missed the very first issue, and it makes it particularly scarce in nice quality like this. I would recommend, even if you don't collect this stuff, just do a little Google search and read the history of it. It really tells a much wider story than that of the stamps. Anyway, I'm going to stop now and hand you over to Andy. What have you got, Andy?
Thank you, Vince. That was most interesting. Well, not far from Israel, of course, we have Palestine. Putting the politics aside, we're going to have a look at the very first issue of Palestine, officially known as the Blues, printed in 1918. I'm just going to put these under the camera now, and we'll talk you through them. So here we have the first issue, printed in 1918, the Blues, as we say. Let's just have a little look at the design on here. Lovely stamps, inscribed EEF, with the denomination and postage paid with the same inscriptions in Arabic there. Now these come in a variety of shades. There were only 4 issues, but within each one there's all sorts of varieties and paper types and so on. We have a control here, the A and 18 being the year of printing there. Let's have a look at the next page. Here we have a very scarce control block of 4, highly collectible and even listed in the Stanley Gibbons catalogues.
Is that the only control block that Stanley Gibbons listed in the part 1?
Yeah, only on these issues, yeah.
Isn't that
Blues,
strange?
yeah.
What the historic reason for
yeah.
that is?
It's not often you see specialised collections just off these first issues. There we have a delightful pair there with a specimen overprint. This is on the surcharged issue, the 5mm on the 1p value there. You notice that these are in different colours to the first issue.
You generally see very few multiples of specimen stamps because of...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They were usually split up by whoever received them and put into albums. Here we have the later issues here in the different colours to the first ones. And then again with these overprinted values here. And finally another range there of shades and so on. You get all sorts of plate floors and so on. And if you're going to collect these lovely stamps, I'd certainly recommend the Bale specialised catalogue on these. It's amazing just how much information there is on 4 stamps here. We've got all about the settings, illustrations here showing all the very minor plate floors you can find on these from the different transfers, information on covers, proofs, watermark varieties, papers, the controls and so on. It's a great book, and I think it's a really lovely issue to collect, and it's, you know, from that first issue when all the political unrest was going on. It's good fun. So I hope you enjoyed those 2 little collections. I know we did.
Yeah. It was funny, we had them on our desk at the same time. There was something one following the other. And anyway, let us know what you think and whether you'd like us to cover. I think the British Mandate in Palestine's got a lot more in it because they started overprinting those stamps with the word Palestine.
That's right, and then that's another whole minefield.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really interesting. But perhaps for another day in a longer video.
Yeah, and of course these issues are in the Commonwealth catalogue as well, so you get everybody collecting those who wants the Commonwealth. Yeah.
Great stuff. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.